So my 14-year-old son just started high school, and I've been helping him with his homework, and we've been reviewing the laws of science. Let me tell you something. This is a bum rap, especially for all of us. For example, you've got gravity, a law whose very nature is to hold you down. Think about what that means. That means when you're going out to launch a business or help the community or create art, there's this natural gravitational force that's designed to hold you back. Then there's atrophy. Atrophy is that law that says if you don't exercise something, it starts to decay. Well, there's no wonder that kids are more creative than adults who seldom use their creativity muscles. Use it or lose it applies to so many things. It applies to critical thinking, family, and even education. What about Newton's third law of motion? That one law that says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that means that every time you go try to do something new, you try to get ahead in life, you try to help a colleague, try to start a band, there's an equal sinister force that's trying to push you back. Now, you all have big things to accomplish. That's why you're here at TED. You've got startups to launch. You've got nonprofits to nurture. You have causes to embolden. You have families and communities to build and sometimes rebuild. And there's enormous opportunity waiting for you just outside those doors. It's yours for the taking, as long as you're able to overcome these nefarious forces. These scientific laws are put in place to give you the opportunity to prove just how bad you really want it. How will we conquer these demons? What are the principles that are needed in order to win in an era of dizzying speed, exponential complexity, and ruthless competition? I've had the privilege of starting 5 companies over the last 2 decades. Let me tell you, the entrepreneurial journey is filled with drama and sacrifice. There are triumphant victories, but more often than not, there are crushing defeats. Sure, some days you feel like an Olympian, but more days than not, you're licking your wounds and dusting off your latest setback. But over the years, I've learned a couple things on how to overcome these natural forces. Through adversity comes understanding, which in turn can become the fuel you need to reach your own goals. So I'd like to share with you today 5 big ideas that I've learned from starting 5 companies. Excuse me. Big idea number 1. Big idea number 1 is to put passion first. Last November, my partners and I launched Detroit Venture Partners. Dan Gilbert, Brian Hermlin, and I set out on a crazed mission to help rebuild Detroit through entrepreneurial fire. We didn't set out to make money necessarily. We set out to make a difference. We knew that by backing passionate entrepreneurs, we could create jobs, urban density, and hope. Think about the impact that 2 venture-backed companies made on Seattle. Starbucks and Microsoft didn't just create tax base, they set that entire region on a trajectory of success. Groupon will do the same thing in Chicago. And we've decided that right now is the time to make Detroit, this will be our defining moment. So because we put passion first, we were able to attract an incredible partner. Mr. Earvin Magic Johnson could invest his money anywhere. With his incredible track record, both on and off the court, nearly any venture capitalist would love to have this guy on his team. But rather than parking in San Francisco or in Boston, he decided to bring his magic right here to the D. It wasn't because we promised him untold riches, fame, or glory. It's because he knew that we were committed to rebuilding our beloved city. Today, the 4 of us don't sit around talking about money. We talk about how can we make the biggest possible impact. Because we know that the money will follow. It's simply a byproduct of doing great things. What's your North Star? Those that greedily chase cash seldom find it. But those that pursue a higher calling and focus on making an enormous impact have the opportunity to do well and do good at the same time. Passion leads, money follows. Big idea number 2. Pursue the unconventional path. At the height of the dot-com era in 1999, internet advertising companies, it was sort of like the modern-day gold rush. You had hundreds of entrepreneurs running to try to launch their own internet ad business. Now, I could have done that, followed the herd, gotten lost in the shuffle, but I decided to pursue the unconventional alternative instead. I zoomed out, took a look at the overall landscape, and realized that promotions was a large category of the marketing mix, but it was largely dormant online. The online ad world became very sophisticated, but the promotions world was this good old boy, fear-based, old-school network. So I thought to myself, why follow when I can innovate? Why launch the 284th internet advertising company when I could launch the first internet promotion company? As Rudyard Kipling famously said, I took the path less traveled, and the rest became history. So what happens is that all these internet advertising companies are running around, clawing at each other, trying to get ahead in a hugely competitive field. Well, meanwhile, ePrize flourishes as a category of one. And what happened as a result is that clients wanted to work with us. We attracted talent from all over the world because we dared to confront the status quo. Today, ePrize enjoys tens of millions of dollars of revenue and has nearly 400 people. But more importantly, it continues to disrupt. To reach your goals, that's exactly what you need to do. Continue to disrupt. It's time to shatter conventional wisdom. It's time to stick your finger in the eye of conventional thinking. It's time to do the never been done before. Next time you see a herd over here or a flock, sprint in the opposite direction, because you'll be able to grab onto success that those timid souls will never know. Big idea number 3. Aim through the window of the future. When I launched my third company in 1995, people thought I was crazy. I was building these bizarre, strange, newfangled contraptions called websites. I would literally call people up, potential clients, and say, hey, have you ever heard of the internet? What's that? Well, I could build you a website. What's a website? Now, most people, when launching businesses, review market data, and they check out research reports. And if I did that, it would reveal for sure that there was zero opportunity to launch a web development company in 1995. Zero. But I wasn't aiming for the opportunity at that moment. I was aiming for something that I saw just across the horizon. At the time, less than 2% of companies had websites. And I was convinced that before long, nearly every company would need one. So because I aimed at the future, my company succeeded, and I was able to sell it to a publicly traded firm in 1999. In today's world of dizzying speed and radical change, it's so easy to miss our target. Whether you're launching a fashion boutique, a new product, seeking a new job, it's critical to pick a focal point that's out ahead of you. Misguided dreamers often come up with these brilliant ideas that might apply exactly in one moment, but they fail to consider all the momentum of their competitors happening around them. It's as if the world will freeze for 12 months while they build and launch their business. Well, as we know, the world never freezes. In fact, today we're in a state of perpetual motion like we've never seen in history. New political upheaval, new scientific breakthroughs, All these things are happening around us. So if we're aiming at today, we're certainly going to miss that target. In order to reach your best potential, you have to realize that the target that you're aiming for is always moving. Don't let the past or even the present mislead you into missing your shot. Big idea number 2, let go in order to seize greatness. Just after college, I started my second company, Innovative Computer Solutions. We sold computer equipment, did networking, and other computer-related services. About 11 months in, things were going pretty good. But like Jim Collins says, good is the enemy of great. In 1994, the computer industry was in the midst of massive upheaval. An honest look in the mirror revealed that my company was on the path to mediocrity. Our products and services were a commodity, a Me Too player. And let's face it, the world doesn't need another Me Too player. The world doesn't need another Me Too anything. So with less than a year under my belt, I decided to sell my company that appeared to be filled with promise and success. Now, this was a difficult decision because we were growing and making money. But I knew it wasn't my destiny. I knew that I had to let go of one opportunity in order to seize a bigger one. It's so hard to let go, isn't it? Especially when things are going okay. So many of us find ourselves in okay jobs, okay relationships, and living okay lives. It takes boldness and courage to let go of the known in order to seize the wonder and magic of the possibilities. As human beings, fear often cements us to the status quo. But then we look back years later, filled with regret of all the things that we never did, all the chances we never took, all the opportunities that we never seized. We end up playing it safe, only to find out that playing it safe is the riskiest move of all. Because when you play it safe, you rob yourself of your destiny. Playing it safe keeps you held back and forbids you from reaching new heights. Sometimes you just got to let go. And when you let go, you need to let your grit and determination become your new safety net. When you let go, possibilities emerge, and you're able to unleash your true potential. Big idea number 1, never cave to your detractors. At the age of 20, I had the idea for my first company. At the time, computers were starting to come in high demand, but you couldn't just run over to Best Buy and grab one or order one from Dell online. Discount computers were actually hard to come by. So my idea was that I could mail order individual components, assemble them in my college apartment, undercut the competition, and still manage to make a profit. Now, I'd never started a company before. I'd never even taken a business class. So to figure out what to do, because I had all this passion and very little experience, I went to my mentor. This was a man that I admired greatly, who had run his own business for 25 years. I reached out, shared my vision, and humbly asked for a $1,000 loan to start my new company. He thoughtfully responded, "Why don't you send me a business plan?" A what? So it turned out to be pretty good advice, actually. I went to the library. Anyone remember libraries, by the way? Libraries? So I went to the library to figure out what he was talking about. Once I figured out what a business plan was, I committed. I said, I'm going to write the granddaddy of all business plans. My finished product was nearly 100 pages, charts and graphs and detailed financial projections. I went over to Kinko's, printed it on fancy paper, put it in a beautiful binder, and mailed it off to my mentor, waiting for his feedback. I was filled with anticipation. I was bubbling. I couldn't wait to hear what he would say. I was waiting for praise and congratulations. But what I heard was something very different, something very disturbing. That's a stupid idea. It'll never work. What the hell do you know about running a business? I'll never loan you money. That would be irresponsible. You will fail. Now, those words stung, but the pain was far greater because that man was my father. The man I'd looked up to my whole life had doomed my plan to failure and told me that I should accept defeat. Well, something inside said I should forge ahead. So I scraped up some money by playing jazz gigs, I maxed out my credit card, I launched my business, and I never looked back. I made countless mistakes along the way. But I somehow had the fortitude to see it through to success. 2 years later, I ended up selling the company for a healthy profit just before completing my undergrad. Whatever your dream is, there will be no shortage of people telling you that it can't be done. The detractors will show up in droves, and they're there to test your resolve. It's up to you to just simply ignore the noise. In my case, I followed my heart, even when my own father told me I would fail. But as a result, I'm here today. You must never cave to your detractors. You must never relinquish the power of your own journey to the fear or insecurity of another's. Those scientific laws that we spoke of earlier, they will inevitably try to derail you, and you'll hit some speed bumps along your journey. But with passion and commitment, you will overcome. You have the gift of creation and the opportunity to make a real difference. Put passion first. Pursue the unconventional alternative. Aim at the window of the future. Let go in order to seize greatness. And whatever you do, never, ever let anyone get in the way of reaching your full potential. Thank you.